Hello, so today our learning objective is to create an original outdoor scene showing space. So the first thing that you need to think about is, are you going to do mostly land and do more of a landscape scene? Are you going to do mostly water and do kind of a seascape theme? Or are you going to do a cityscape with mostly buildings and concrete and steel? So the first thing you need to do is think about that, decide which you're going to do, and then you need to draw with pencil, creating the illusion of space. So remember how artists create the illusion of space. They create it by overlapping things, having some things in front of other things. They have change of size, where they have big things in front of or up front and smaller things in the back. They change the detail. So the detail up front, you can see all the little details, and then as you work your way back, those details start to diminish or actually disappear to your eye as you work towards the back of your space. So you're going to decide what you're going to draw, and then you can work on your paper either vertical or horizontal. So once you kind of get in your head what you want to draw and what you want to include in that drawing, then that might help you to determine which way your paper goes. So I think I'm going to do a seascape. And so I like to always start with a horizon line, and we can put the horizon line up high in the middle of our paper or down low. If you put your horizon line down low, it doesn't give you a lot of area to demonstrate the illusion of space. So I do expect to see large things up front, small things in the back, lots of detail up front, little things in no detail in the back, and then I need to see some overlapping. So if you put your horizon line way down at the bottom, that doesn't leave you a whole lot of space to work with. The higher up you put your horizon line, the more space you have. So I'm going to add my horizon line up here near the top of my paper, and then I'm going to add some sand in the edge or the coastline of my seascape, since I'm doing a seascape. So up front are tall things, big things with lots of detail, things in the back. So once you kind of get an idea of what you're going to draw, then you need to think about where you want to start. Do you want to start up front? Do you want to start in the back? Where do you want to start? So I think I'm going to start way in the back. I'm going to place a tiny little boat way in the background. Maybe in the sky I could add some clouds. So now I'm going to put some stuff up front, and it needs to overlap. Now I did do some overlapping here. My boat overlaps the horizon line, so overlapping is pretty good. But I'm going to add some more. So let's see, I'm going to add a tree. And since this is the beach, it's going to be more of a palm tree. And so when things overlap, you've got to erase what's underneath or behind, unless that item is made of glass and you can see through it. So you can see a lot of the detail in the tree trunk. You can see detail in the palm tree itself, and you can see that it overlaps the shoreline. And I have something small in the back, so I probably should put something in the middle here. And maybe I could put some more stuff on the shoreline. So I think just to create some interest, I'm going to add just a couple of waves, because it's just a lot of paper that doesn't have much going on with it. Another boat here, and make it bigger than this but smaller than this. So let's see, maybe I'll do a big cruise liner. Alright, so here's my drawing of kind of a fancy boat. I'm not really sure what a cruise liner looks like off the top of my head. I need to see a picture. So you can see that I have done the overlapping, and I've done the change of size, palm tree, boat, and a small boat. We know in real life if this boat was next to the palm tree would be much smaller than this cruise liner. But the palm tree is bigger because it's closer to us. This has a lot more detail. This has slightly less detail. Maybe I could have maybe not added some windows or something, but it has a little bit less detail. And then this has no detail here. And then maybe I want to add, I think I'll add a couple of seashells. And that's detail. I mean, you'd never be able to see the seashells if they were up here or over there. Okay, so then after you do that, you're going to outline your drawing. You're going to take a permanent marker, and you can use a variety of different sized markers to get a variety of different kinds of lines. Maybe the things up close, you do a thicker line, and things that are further back, you do a smaller line or use a smaller pen for that. But you're going to outline everything with permanent marker until it looks like this. So you saw me draw a seascape. Here's a simple landscape. I did more of a rural landscape where it's farmland and there's not a lot of buildings. I made sure that I showed change of size. So the rows of my crops, they're wider at the bottom, skinnier as they go away from me. So they start wide and go smaller. My building is closer to us, so there's lots of detail. You can see the windowsill, the window frame. You can see the door. And then as you move back, I have a wooded area that's trees, not a lot of detail, and we know that if this was a wooded area, it had really tall trees that would be much taller than this house. So that's smaller, so change of size. And then I have overlapping. This hill overlaps the house, which overlaps the horizon line. This forest or wooded area overlaps the horizon line. And then I have some clouds that are kind of overlapping each other. So after you outline, then I want you to pick 2 areas that you're going to add some pattern to. And I want you to use some complex patterns. So I have handouts with some really fancy complex patterns called Zen Doodles. And you can use these. Lots of different ideas for patterns, different than what you usually get from me. This back page, this one kind of shows you step by step how to do one. This back page has lots to choose from. And then these have a couple, these are kind of step by step too, how to start each one. These only have 4 steps. So to give you some ideas, but I want you to pick 2 areas that you're going to add pattern to. So if we go back to my original example, this is kind of, it's a landscape because it's mostly land, but I did throw in a cityscape in the background. But I want you to pick 2 areas that you want to focus attention on. So I wanted to draw your eye to the cityscape in the background, and so I added pattern in the sky. And then I also wanted to draw your eye forward so that you would notice this tree, so I added pattern here. So you need to think about where you place your pattern. So if I just put pattern in this cloud, that's not really making a good choice and a good composition. You want to put pattern in different spaces to make people look at that spot where the pattern is, because that's going to draw your eye, and then draw your eye to a new spot across your paper so everybody looks at all of your details. So I think I will probably add some pattern to some of my rows of farmland here, and then maybe some pattern in the clouds, or maybe the sky again. That's a lot of space, but that would look pretty cool, especially if I did a really nice, neat pattern. So you're going to pick one of these, 2 of these actually, 2 of these crazy fun patterns, and you're going to put that in 2 spaces and space them out. So you can draw them in pencil first, but maybe you could just go straight to marker if you think you kind of got it. So I think I'm going to do, in one of the rows, I'm going to do this. And you're just going to keep filling in with pattern. Now since I have rows of crops, I might want to come back with a thicker marker to definitely clearly show where my rows of crops are, so that when I could do a different pattern in each of the rows, patterns of this, this, and this, and then maybe in my sky I'll do a different pattern. And you know your work finished when you've got pattern neatly drawn in marker in 2 of your spaces, filling up those spaces nice and neat.